Now this is a podcast all about Bears. You either cheering for this team or just pulling your hair. I like to take a minute, just sit right back and tell you how I became the #1 Bears fan.
That boy is Benny Hunter.
Cake on the mic, cake on the mic, cake on the mic, cake on the mic. People, this the intro. Sacramento, California, born and raised. And Antelope is where I spend most of my days. Talk bad about my team, you must be a clown. This is Keek on the mic, so you know you better bear down. Bear down.
Hey, what's going on, Bears fans? Thank you so much for joining me for another episode of Keek on the Mic, the podcast all about the Chicago Bears. Before I get this episode started, make sure you hit that subscribe button and the bell notification to catch all Bears content around the podcast. Make sure you follow me on all my social media platforms, and make sure you share this episode of Keek on the Mic with every single Bears fan that you know. So, all I have to say, and there's not really much to say, besides Aaron Rodgers is that man. And he owns us. And it was so bad, right? This is what really got to me. At the end of the game, right, we get a touchdown, 17-14. He drives down the field like it's no bother to him at all. Just makes it look effortless. Runs it into himself. I guess a woman Bears fan was flipping him off, and he says, "I still own you." And if you're mad about that, that's on you, because it's true. The man is now 21-5 against the Chicago Bears with 57 passing touchdowns and only 10 interceptions. And the Packers take down the Chicago Bears 24-14 as we now drop to 3-3, and Green Bay takes a 2-game stranglehold on the division. Good news is that it's a long season, and I think we saw a lot of good, and we also saw a lot of bad from Justin Fields today. There was a lot of questionable play calls at the end of the game, blah, blah, blah. Some weird penalties by the referees, blah, blah, blah. This is all just blah, 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 blah. I can go on and on and on. At the end of the day, we did not get it done. We didn't execute. We started fast, and then we went straight down into a pit where it was punt after punt. Weren't executing. Once again, the defense missing tackles. So overall, as a team, we just weren't executing. And at the end of the day, when I look at these games against the Packers, and now that Matt Nagy is now 1 and I believe 6 against the Green Bay Packers in his tenure, I think we should all know that I think we have reached the ceiling with Matt Nagy and this staff as a whole, right? So we've seen what Bill Lazor can do, right? And I think it's better than Matt Nagy. It truly is. But I just think we've reached that ceiling point with Bill Lazor as well as a play caller that there's really no creativity, right? For example, when you look at that 3rd and 15, where it was 24-14 with 4 minutes left, there was still opportunity for a field goal. Instead of just doing maybe something quick, right, like a quick slant or get someone open just to get those yards, so we can bring out Cairo Santos and get a quick field goal and make it a one-possession game, they draw up some long developing play call where Justin Fields has to roll out, right, and get sacked. And yes, that is a little bit on Justin Fields because he could have just threw it away. But at the same time, why even put him in that situation? Why even put him in that predicament? Draw something up quick, right? Get your 3 points, and maybe it's a different ball game. But overall, I think us Bears fans have to come to the conclusion that there's no reason to be mad. We're used to it. This is what Aaron Rodgers has been doing for 26 games and 26 starts, 21 wins, 5 losses. And I know it's hard to give the man his credit, but that's just how it is. Aaron Rodgers just knows how to beat the Chicago Bears, but our coaching staff doesn't put the players in the best situation to execute. We're just not executing against Green Bay. And that's how it's been the last couple of times we've played the Green Bay Packers. So now looking over some stats, right? So when you look at Justin Fields, it's all right day. 16 for 27, 174 yards, had a passing touchdown to Darnell Mooney, and that one interception where it was a questionable call where we think as fans the Packers D line went into the neutral zone. The refs didn't give it to him. Justin Fields, rookie mistake. He just assumed. He thought he had a free play, threw an interception. But overall, I think there was also some good. Obviously, Justin Fields drove us down the field for a big touchdown that made it 17-14. Obviously, our defense gave up some big chunk plays to Devontae Adams and to that Packers offense. excellent job by, once again, Aaron Rodgers, future Hall of Famer. Knowing that the Bears were on a brink of a comeback, right, and the fans were getting into it, he calmed down the storm, right, and drove the Packers down the field to have a clutch touchdown to put it basically out of reach, 24-14. I want to give a huge shout out to Khalil Herbert. Nice day for him. 19 carries for 97 yards and a touchdown. Can't say enough about all our running backs, and this is even looking at when Tariq Cohen finally comes back. We have a very deep running back room, and everyone should be excited about Khalil Herbert. I think there were some times where Bill Lazor went away from Khalil Herbert, and I wish he could have probably had more than 20 carries in this game. But there was a couple of times where we went away from the running game. But still, Khalil Herbert, with the opportunities that he has been given, he has produced big for the Chicago Bears football team. When looking at the receivers, we finally got our tight ends involved a little bit. Obviously, Cole Kmet had 4 catches for 49 yards. Robinson 4 for 53. Darnell Mooney 5 for 45 and a touchdown. So another good day for Darnell Mooney. Obviously, it's a big that we're finally hopefully trying to get our tight ends involved, because I think that's how we're going to get this offense moving and scoring points, is by getting Jimmy Graham involved, and getting Cole Kmet involved, even getting Jesse James involved into the offense, right? So overall, I can't say much. When you look at this offense, it's still a work in progress. I think it's another day where I feel like Justin Fields developed. He had his rookie pains, right? And that's what we have to expect with Justin Fields being a rookie. You're going to have those days, but you also have to take the positives out of it. And I feel like it was a decent day for Justin Fields. And I think we still should be excited, because I can still feel that shift coming, where eventually when Aaron Rodgers leaves, right, maybe the momentum of the division will switch, knowing that we have a guy like Justin Fields. So looking at the defense, obviously they started out fast. Of course, Khalil Mack got a sack, and then, of course, Robert Quinn got another sack. So that puts, I think, Khalil Mack at 6 overall sacks and Robert Quinn at 5.5. But once again, I just think it wasn't enough. I think they did all they could. But at the end of the day, Aaron Rodgers took advantage of the secondary. Obviously, once again, there were some miscommunications in the secondary. I don't know how long it's going to take for Sean Desai and this secondary to clean up those miscommunications. I said in my live before the game that we need to try to contain Davante Adams, which for the most part, they did a pretty good job in doing that. He had 4 catches for 89 yards. But the problem with those 4 catches, they were all chunk plays. You cannot allow a guy like Davante Adams to get those big chunk plays. And unfortunately, those miscommunications led to those big chunk plays. Each 4 of those catches were chunks. So, besides that, I think the defense played really well. Obviously, once again, missed tackles are killing this defense, especially late in football games. Like I mentioned earlier in the podcast, 17-14, and once again, giving up chunk plays, missing tackles, there's miscommunications. You can't have that, especially when you know your offense is, they struggle to score points, right? So overall, it was an all right day for the defense. I'm not going to sit here and blame anybody, but just the execution. The execution has to be better, and I just want Bears fans to know that I think we've reached the ceiling with Matt Nagy and this entire staff. I like Matt Nagy as a person, but when you cannot beat the Green Bay Packers, when you go 1-6 in 4 years against the Green Bay Packers, everyone knows that's a huge no-no. When you get hired as the head coach of the Chicago Bears, the first thing they tell you is you have to beat the Packers, and unfortunately, he gets outcoached in every single game we play against the Green Bay Packers. So like I said, we dropped to 3-3 with a 24-14 loss to the Green Bay Packers. How you guys feeling about this game? Let me know down below in the comment section. Next week, we take on Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, so we need to clean up the mistakes and move on to the next game, because let me tell you, the Bears can easily be 3-4 by next week. So they need to figure this out, and hopefully they can bounce back, go to Tampa, and get a big win against the Buccaneers. But before I let you guys go, make sure you hit that subscribe button and the bell notification to catch all Bears content right here on the podcast. Make sure you follow me on all my social media platforms. And make sure you share this episode of Kick on the Mic with every single Bears fan that you know. But other than that, I'll be back for all new Bears podcasts right here on Kick on the Mic. Thanks, guys, and bear down. Riding with Country Bear.
You ain't bout it, you ain't bout it, you ain't kick on the mic. You ain't bout it, you ain't bout it, you ain't kick on the mic. You can go and subscribe cause I be on it right. You ain't bout it, you ain't bout it, you ain't kick on the mic.